What's poppin', y'all? What's poppin'? Mikey T, the movie star, live on YouTube. We got some shit to talk about. Let me just make sure my sound levels are good. Let me make sure the sound is good, you guys. Let me get everything situated here. Let me get my Red Bull situated, man. Because when that Red Bull endorsement comes in, it's going to count, baby. That's right. We got some shit. We've got some shit to talk about today, you guys. We have got some dope hip hop to talk about, y'all. Interesting stuff to talk about with 50 Cent in the game. The Wack 100 had done a clubhouse a few days ago where he spoke on a couple different key instances of the game issues with 50 Cent, the game potentially going at Eminem. You know what I'm saying? The game potentially making a diss song going at Eminem. So there's a couple different things that we've got to target in that topic because in this conversation, Wack 100 said that he actually put an end to the 15-year storied rivalry with the game and 50 Cent, not 15 Cent, excuse me. So this beef is something we've all pretty much followed since the game got into the career and decided to flip the script on G Unit, and walk that lone and that long and lonely road by himself. You know what I mean? Rather than have a group behind him to actually, keep up the effort or keep up the touring together or whatever have you that they were all doing with one another. As I was speaking yesterday, the game ended up on several of the G Unit projects. He was spoke on Beg for Mercy. He was actually featured on Lloyd Banks's album, When the Chips Are Down, right? He was featured on When the Chips Are Down. He was also featured on Young Buck's Stomp record. Everybody knows they notoriously replaced T.I. with the game. What's going on, Sean Wright? Appreciate you for tapping in, man. P Easy in the building. P Easy is in the building. East Coast Connect. What is popping? What is popping? Appreciate you for tapping in once again. We've got some shit to talk about because I left it out because there was quite a bit to cover the other day, you guys. There was quite a bit to cover the other day when it came to the game and Wack 100. They gave us quite a bit of topics to discuss, but today I want to touch on one of the most interesting portions of the clubhouse when Wack 100 said that he made peace. He made peace with 50 Cent in the game. Bobby Digital in the building, major salute. Yeah, when the chips are down, great hook, couple great verses as well. Ford City, Pennsylvania is in the building. Major salute to Ford City. Hell yeah, appreciate you for tapping in today, man. Sean Wright says he's got a little bit of purple runts and blue cheese. Okay, that sounds good, bro. I actually started my day off with a little bit of GMO and then a little bit of runts. After the stream, I'm going to roll up a couple L's. You know what I'm saying? But right now, we got to kind of focus on the hip hop topics, the major hip hop topics right now. And we got to talk about Lil Durk, who did a dope interview, a couple dope interviews now. Lil Durk has done a couple dope interviews, one of them being with $1 million worth of game. Another one of those interviews actually being with, the Nelk boys. Nelk. And it was interesting to me. It was really interesting to me that, Lil Durk actually did another interview because of the fact that he told academics, he was like, yo, I really don't do that many interviews. $1 million worth of game is something I had promised Gilly and Wallow that I would do a while back. He had actually referenced that in his Nelk interview where he said that they had set that interview up with $1 million worth of game about 6 months ago, y'all. And that's obvious. You know what I mean? Lil Durk, he was an obvious guest for $1 million worth of game. I think people were waiting on that. And you can just judge by looking at the views. They're over 4 million, almost at 4.5 million views, 4,250,000, something along those lines on the Lil Durk interview. So that really shows you, you know what I mean, that the fan turnout was really great for that album. The turnout for that album, that podcast. Schizo got that white runts. Okay, okay. Young generation is in the building. Mike, what up? Man, I just wanted to come on here and talk about a couple hip hop topics. Little Durk kind of addressed NBA Youngboy's trolling and kind of labeled that as the reasoning for the release of the song Aha. And we covered Aha pretty extensively on the channel, so I wanted to come and address that. You know what I'm saying? Durk has a couple dope interviews out right now, as I've said. You know what I mean? So when Durk talks, the whole hip hop community starts to talk. You know what I'm saying? Durk is almost getting to that point where he's going to be on a level where he doesn't even need to do interviews to sell the albums anymore. Durk's album right now is on its fourth week of release, and on its third week of release, he moved 65,000 units. Little Durk right now is a machine. You know what I mean? Or he's got a machine behind him. Kind of addressed it in the interview as well. After leaving Def Jam, he went to Alamo. Yeah, Gilly has the podcast on Smash. You know what I'm saying? The whole podcast world on Smash right now. I got to put Gilly right there alongside the Joe Budden and the Drink Champs. You know what I mean? I even put him a little bit ahead of the Breakfast Club. You know what I mean? But Charlemagne is doing so many different things that, the Breakfast Club just isn't the biggest thing he's doing anymore. He's making waves on television. I think he had some shit going on with FX. You know what I mean? When you've made your way to television, there's only so much that Revolt TV is going to do for you. You know what I'm saying? Shit, just imagine if Drink Champs actually gets a real television deal and not just a TV deal like how you got to order the extra stations, is what I'm saying. One of the channels that we know and see all the time. Imagine if VH1 or MTV or the Oxygen channel, something along those lines, even BET or E. I don't know if the E channel could pick it up. There's all these different opportunities, you know what I mean, going into the world of film, going into the world of television, shit like that. Lemon Octane. Okay, I never really heard of that, man, but anything with the name Lemon in it, I pretty much love. You know what I mean? I pretty much love anything with the name Lemon, anything with the name Blueberry in it. These are the type of things that I really love to smoke. The Runts right now is absolutely doing it for me. It's a low percentage, though. It's only 22%, you guys. So it's really nothing to really be bragging about when it comes to the percentage of it. Like I was smoking this other GMO that was actually 29%, but the Runts does it for me. You know what I mean? The Runts does it more for me. And I've smoked some of the other Runts, like the pink Runts, the white Runts, and I've got the regular Runts right now, and it's lit. It's lit. It is very lit, man. I won't lie, but I appreciate everybody for tapping in today. Like I said, I wanted to do a midday news report. I wanted to do a midday news report, man, just because there was a few things I didn't talk about in regard to Wack 100, and there was also a few things popping up with Little Durk. Like I said, when Durk does an interview, everybody starts talking. You know what I mean? It gives you so many different, talking pieces to actually go over some of the things that Little Durk said, man. Durk is I said it a while ago. I interviewed Durk back in like 2013 or something like that. I said it a while ago. Durk was an artist to put your money on, you guys. Durk was an artist to actually put your money on. And look at him. He's really ascended to the top of the game. But let's start to get into this a little bit, man. Let's get into this a little bit, man, because I found it interesting the fact that the 50 Cent and the Game beef ended. I found it interesting because I really didn't hear about it. I mean, aside from seeing the Game and 50 Cent actually in a club together, you know what I mean? Aside from seeing the Game actually buy bottles for 50 Cent, I haven't noticed anything more of their beef actually ending. I haven't actually noticed anything more of their beef actually ending, you guys. So it was news to me. Justin, appreciate you for tapping in. Team Gumbo CT says Durk is fire right now. Yeah, Durk is tooling all over right now. I'm great, man. That's great to see. If the Game disses M, I hope M ends up ethering the Game. James Brown, we got Buffalo, New York in the building. Okay, major salute to Buffalo. K. Dot says the beef ended in 2015. Damn, that was a long beef. That was like a 10-year beef. That was like a 10-year beef, huh? Where was I when that beef ended? You know what I mean? Where was I when that beef ended? Kind of strange to me that the Game's beef with 50 Cent kind of ended under the radar. You know what I mean? By 2015, 50 Cent had put out all the albums that he was going to put out. You know what I mean? He had already released Ambition, and we haven't seen another project from him since then. So, in all honesty, I really don't know when their beef ended unless we're talking about the fact that the Game had run into him a couple times in a couple different, situations. I mean, we saw them talking at one point on a viral video. Team Gumbo says that shit didn't end. People say anything. Yeah, so I guess the beef is over just because, you know, we're supposed to believe the beef is over because the Game sent 50 Cent a couple bottles. 50 Cent doesn't even really drink that much. You know what I mean? 50 Cent doesn't even really drink all that much, you guys. So I don't really understand how buying the man a couple bottles would end the beef. We all have known that 50 Cent isn't the biggest smoker or drinker. It's only in recent years that he has drank a little bit of that Branson cognac, you know what I mean? All that different type of shit. East Coast says you got to hear it from 50. Yeah, like when 50 makes an Instagram post and he says, "Hey guys, my beef with the Game is officially over. It's officially over. Game, it's cool. We're going to make How We Do Part 2." You know, when we hear 50 Cent say some shit like that, because we've seen the Game make various posts. And, it sort of goes back to when people say the Game has a bipolar nature. You know what I mean? When the Game makes a diss song or a reference to 50 Cent where he says, "Yo, 50 Cent has a lot of talent. 50 Cent was really instrumental in what I was doing." And then the next week, the Game is back to dissing him and saying, "You didn't have this to do with my career. You didn't have that to do with my career. And I was bigger without G Unit." It's always a flip flop with the Game in this situation, y'all. And that's why 50 can't take him serious, when the Game meets up with him, because it seems ungenuine. It does not seem genuine at all. It just seems like the Game wants to make peace with 50 Cent to sell a record. You know what I think? Kendall says, "I think Wack was talking about years ago in 2018. So now we've got two different years. Now we're hearing that the Game beef with 50 Cent ended in 2015. Now we're hearing that the Game beef with 50 Cent ended in 2018. But now in 2022, we're hearing from Wack 100 that 50 Cent didn't even write What's Up Gangsta. You know what I mean? Now we're hearing that 50 didn't even write one of his most prolific records, a record that 50 Cent performs every time he touches a stage, you guys. Every time 50 hits a stage, Banks, Buck, and Yayo, and probably the Game back in the day, would all hit that stage and say, "What up? What up, cuz?" And they would do that shit and they would interact with the crowd and get the crowd buzzed up. That was 50's buzz record right there. K Dot says 50 teased the idea of doing a versus with the Game. That alone shows you that they not on shit no more. I don't remember 50 teasing the idea of having a versus with the Game. The only thing I seem to remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, what up, Bones? Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. The only thing I seem to remember is 50 Cent saying he had no interest in doing a versus, not mentioning who he would do one with, but just saying that he felt like that was the thing of the pandemic. Now, I think 50's wrong in that aspect. I think a versus is something that became natural. It became commonplace for two artists to compare their records during the pandemic, but this is going to be something that lives on, you guys. When back in the day we saw the Lil Wayne versus Drake tour, I got a feeling we can see a lot blossom from this idea that Timbaland and Swiss Beats put in front of the world, you guys. So I want to talk about Little Durk going on the Nelk Boys. So Durk did an interview with the Nelk Boys. If you asked why would Durk do an interview with the Nelk Boys, these guys have actually been, doing some of the best interviews. They just interviewed Ricky Rose. You know what I'm saying? They interviewed Ross, who's having a car show. I guess it's in the next 45 days. So keep that on your schedule. Ross is doing a car show in Atlanta. That's pretty lit. I would love to get an invite out for that. You know what I'm saying? Just to cover it. I would always go out and cover all types of blogs like that back in the day. But so Durk did this interview with the Nelk Boys because they control quite a bit of attention on the internet, y'all. The Nelk Boys, Steve will do it. These guys do millions of views every single video. You know what I mean? So naturally, when they created the full podcast and bringing in all different of guests, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's a president or whether it is a promotional speaker or an artist, whatever type of, guest that they bring in, these interviews are doing major numbers. I think the Little Durk interview is sitting at 2.8 million views right now on the Nelk Boys channel, the Full Send podcast, if you guys want to check that out, if you have not checked that out yet. It's an hour-long interview. You know what I mean? It's a pretty good interview. I'll put it right there under the $1 million worth of game interview. But one thing that I actually found interesting is Durk addressed going back at the trolls. Durk addressed making Aha. Everybody knows what Aha is. Aha is Little Durk's diss track against NBA Youngboy. It's when Durk had to say enough is enough. Little Durk pulled his Owen Hart moment. He had his Owen Hart moment. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. And you better make sure you keep King Von's name out of your mouth, out of your song, and out of your mind, unless you're a fan looking to go purchase his new album. Keep King Von's name out of your mouth. Will Smith voice. Justin came in with a comment about 50. Justin said, he said if he did a versus, it would be good if he went up against an artist like a Snoop Dogg. I like that, man. I like that, bro. Because 50 and Snoop both have these records, you know what I mean? They both have records that are major. So it would really be a battle right there. Now, with Game and 50 Cent, this is why I find it a little bit more interesting that the Game's going to Eminem. With the Game and 50, these guys are bringing up records that have the other featured way too much. When you look at 50 and Snoop, you only got a few songs. You know what I mean? The most popular one would be PIMP. And then they had another one with Jeezy, actually. You guys, which was cool. You know what I mean? But it really didn't do the numbers of PIMP. Sha, what's going on, man? YB is better. A lot of people have opinions, man. Whenever I do Little Durk and NBA Youngboy topic, let me tell you, man, the chat is going back and forth with whether they're Youngboy fans or if they're fans of Little Durk. So that's what I like to see, man. I like to see both fan bases turn up and turn out for their artists, man. DC is in the building. Major salute to you. Major salute to you. Appreciate you. I don't remember that, K Dot. But that's what I'm saying. That's the big issue is that the Game, he has multiple records with 50 Cent, you know what I mean, that are his most popular records. Hate It or Love It, How We Do. Obviously, I'm a big guy. I'm a big fan of West Side Story. Not really sure if that would be the best versus record, though. Well, K Dot, that was a big thing a few days ago, a big piece of news that Chief Keef actually denied the song that came out. I did a stream on it when Chief Keef denied that the song he did with Youngboy was actually a new record. I wanted to talk about that because that would be one of the most crazy things to happen in hip hop right now if Chief Keef actually did a song with NBA Youngboy. Now, just because you do a song with NBA Youngboy, it does not mean that you're going to blow up like crazy. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you're going to, or maybe I shouldn't say that. It doesn't mean you're going to have major record sales. Look what happened with DaBaby, who was going through quite a bit of BS in his career. You know what I mean? He was facing a big stigma in the music industry. He returned with this album with Youngboy, and I thought he was trying to heat shit up, but he didn't really heat much of nothing up, man. You know, it kind of this album with the baby and Youngboy, it kind of went overlooked. It kind of went overlooked, you guys, just to be 100% real with you. In my bad, make sure my sounds are good. Test, test, test. There we go. There we go. Major salute to DC. Major salute to DC. Major salute to DC on the tap in, man. The baby did get more popular. The crowd is lit. No, the baby didn't get more popular in the recent months. Right now, he's trying to gain back that major level of popularity that he actually lost. You know, the baby had the world in his hands. You know what I mean? He literally Scarface. He had the world in his hands type shit. And right now, you know, his streams are kind of they're look what the album did. The album did 35,000 copies first week. When you look at the baby and NBA Youngboy, you would think that they would move so many more units than that, you guys. You know, but we got a couple different topics to speak on. Right now, we're touching on Durk, excuse me, Little Durk finally speaking on the Aha record, man. The Aha record, you know, that we all of us know it's a direct shot, a direct response. But that response came with a response within hours. Within hours, NBA Youngboy had a record up called I Hate Youngboy. Major salute to the re-up gang. Yup, Justin, the baby and Youngboy flopped. And that's why I was saying, just because Chief Keef wants to, you know, record with NBA Youngboy. Chief Keef's not really in the public eye right now, unless he does or says something. You know, his music's not really getting him the attention. He's kind of facing the designer shit right now. But the thing about it is, if Chief Keef did that song with NBA Youngboy, sure, it would have him hot now. It would have him all over the waves. But is it really going to do any numbers? You know, and when he does the song with Youngboy, there's no going back. There's no going back to everybody that feels disrespected by what he's doing right now. Yep. So let's get back into it, man, because Durk did a great interview with the Nelk Boys. And so Little Durk did an interview with the Nelk Boys. And like I said a little bit earlier, for everyone just tapping in, the Nelk Boys actually have done some of the best interviews on their Full Send podcast. They recently interviewed Rick Ross. So now Durk, you know, Durk having the number one album in the country right now, or seven, not right now, but he had the number one album in the country, 7220. And he had done an interview with Gilly on $1 Million Worth of Game, Gilly the Kid and Wallow, my guys right there. And Ack had spoke up about this. You know, Ack was like speaking about the fact that Little Durk had let him know, yo, I can't do an interview with you right now. I really don't do that many interviews. Academics really appreciated that, you guys. The fact that Little Durk would actually reach out to him and be like, yo, I'm not doing interviews right now, rather than just blow him off. You know, academics had said Chief Keef was the type to really just blow him off rather than even respond. You know, like Chief Keef and Little Durk are majorly different artists as well. If you're watching Little Reese's interview with Vlad right now, you would just see how minimal the answers are. You know what I mean? He doesn't do too much talking, Little Reese. Now, Little Durk is a whole nother guy. Little Durk is a whole nother conversation, man. So Ack had spoke on Little Durk a little bit, saying that they were supposed to do an interview, but Durk replied saying that he really was only going to do the one interview. So he really didn't want to do the interview with Ack because he really didn't want to do all that much promotion for his shit. So being that Little Durk went on the Nelk Boy Full Send podcast, I've got to believe y'all that Little Durk is going to do an interview with academics now on For the Record. And y'all, if you think Little Durk did some talking about Youngboy, or he didn't really mention Youngboy, but he certainly mentioned all the trolling going around and the aha diss. If you think this shit was crazy, just wait until Academics gets him in the For the Record podcast. Academics is going to know all the questions to ask. He's going to ask him all the questions that are relevant, not questions that are outdated, not questions that have already been answered, not questions that nobody's really interested in. Academics is going to get the real deal. And I've got to believe that Lil Durk will do the interview because of the fact that he said, if I end up doing more interviews, I will double back and link with you. And let's be honest, man, Durk's album is doing so well in its third week. It moved 60,000 units, which is the same amount of units that The Void did in its first week. I don't know if there's any other bloggers or hip hop influencers that are putting this news out there like that and regurgitating it to you so that you guys remember it. But I am going to do it. Why? Because the sales matter, you guys. Lil Durk's sales are crazy right now. In his third week, he did what his last album did in its first week. Doing an interview with Academics is only going to push those sales, those streams through the roof. So I got a feeling Durk is in his bag right now. Durk is he's in his bag, you guys. He's in his bag. He knows what he's doing. He's making the smart moves. It was great interviewing Durk back in the day, getting to meet him back when he was pushing his record. This ain't what you want. You know what I mean? And one of the other times I interviewed Durk, he said, "Remember this interview when we're on top." Well, I certainly am not going to forget it, Durk. You know what I mean? The fact that Lil Durk gave me the opportunity to interview him and now where he's at in the game. You know what I mean? I'm never going to forget that shit, even if he does. Even if Durk forgets calling me his favorite cracker, whatever. That's like when Eminem said that 50 was his favorite white boy. Oh, no, Durk just said I was real, actually. He didn't say I was his favorite. So Lil Durk did an interview. Yep. So Axe spoke on that. So now with the new Nelk interview, like I said, they have a Full Send podcast. I've got to say we're going to more than likely get the Lil Durk interview on For the Record, which is great. So on the Nelk interview with the Full Send podcast, Lil Durk spoke on his song Aha, you guys, which we all know was his response to NBA Youngboy trolling and going as far to call out King Von's situation on his album or Project Colors. He actually mentioned Lil Tim on several occasions on that album as well. And then he featured Quando Rondo on Gangsta Shit. So there's a whole lot behind that story. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot behind that story that actually made Lil Durk feel the need to respond. You know, we're going to get into it right here. Salim, salute to Salim, man. Sucks that he lost his girlfriend just from grinding and bumping and grinding with another girl in the club. So Salim had actually mentioned Durk going on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast and bringing $1 million there. He brought $1 million. We all know Lil Durk brought $1 million to the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. And, you know, honestly, I think Salim was hoping that Durk had brought a little bit of cash to the Full Send podcast. You know what I mean? Because of how generous all these guys at Full Send are, at all these guys at Nelk are. When you see all the videos of Steve gifting the cameraman and gifting his co-stars with APs and Rolexes and Teslas, all different type of amazing shit. If you guys aren't tapped in with their YouTube, make sure you do go tap in with it though, man. Roll that gas up. Roll that gas up. So let's get into it here. So Durk said, in regard to bringing $1 million on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, salute to my bros Gilly and Wallow. Durk said, I always try to be different. And, you know, when he said I always try to be different, it immediately reminded me of when Durk first got into the game. You know what I mean? He had cut his hair. Durk cut his hair down low like mine. You know what I mean? And it was a little bit like, whoa, what's Durk doing? He's going against the grain. You know what I mean? Everybody's growing their hair out right now. Even Chief Keef had a shorter hair back then, but he was growing it out to the point where it's long as hell now. You know what I mean? So Durk, he was trying to be different. Durk shaved his head. Durk said, I always try to be different. There was a million other artists and athletes. So I was like, what can I do to make myself different from everyone else? What can attract more views? And shit, I mean, we've never seen somebody bring $1 million worth of cash onto any interview. I'm going to have to say, I don't think Black Youngsta even brought $1 million worth of cash onto the Breakfast Club interview. You know what I mean? I'm going to have to call it right there. I think Durk is probably the first one to actually do this. And the fact that he did it on my good friend Gilly the Kid's podcast, $1 million worth of game, I mean, shit, I can live vicariously through Gilly with that a little bit. You know what I mean? The fact that Lil Durk just did something that no other artist would do on a podcast. You know what I mean? No other artist would really do it, to give Gilly and them that look. It was just major to me, man, when we started to see all the promotional videos that Gilly would put together promoting that interview. You know what I mean? We just saw a lot change with $1 million worth of game in the last few months, the way they're even their promotional game, man. I see $1 million worth of game being one of the next Revolt syndicated shows. They're on Barstool Sports now, which is a major, major alley-oop, man. Barstool is just they got it on point right now, from all the guests, from 2 Chainz coming on the show to Yo Gotti coming on the show to the Queen they had a few weeks back. You know what I'm saying? Salute, Colossal. Appreciate you, man. Re-Up Gang LLC says, boycott a case shooting a music video. Yeah, very unfortunate. And I had actually did a little bit of reading into that. Apparently the day before they had, reported NBA Youngboy saying, yo, he's about to be filming a music video over here. I need everybody to share this video, y'all. Share this video. Let them know the hottest hip-hop blogger is here. You know what I'm saying? Let them know the hottest hip-hop blogger is here talking about that shit today. Let's get these numbers up over the next couple months. You know what I'm saying? Because we ain't going nowhere, man. We ain't going nowhere. All we're doing is coming on here and sharing all of our views when it comes to hip-hop news. Also dropping new interviews and shit like that on a weekly basis. So Durk admitted that he had been sitting on the interview. I know Gilly is big on Durk. So he's probably actually reached out, or however they reach out to an artist to get on the show. So Durk actually saying that he was sitting on the interview for 6 months. He said, I've been sitting on it for 6 months. They've been wanting to do it, but I wanted to bring $1 million. Now, I don't think he really needed, 6 months to get the bread together. Durk had even said Little Baby wanted him to bring another $1 million on the show. You know what I mean? Durk said Lil Baby showed him so much love, he wanted him to bring another $1 million. Imagine $2 million on the show. You know what I'm saying? That would have took up pretty much the space in front of Gilly and Wallow too. Durk was asked, what was your favorite song you've ever done? And he said it's got to be the Drake song. He touched into that a little bit. He said Durk was asked, how was it in the studio with Drake? He said, we already knew where we was going with it. When he DM'd me, when he DM'd me, send me your number. I got one for you. I'm like, okay. When he DM'd me, he sent me his number, and then he FaceTimed me. He said, I'm not going to lie. I need it tonight. So Drake kind of put it on Durk right there, pause. Drake kind of, put it heavy on Durk there, telling him, yo, I know it's a little crazy, but I'm going to need you to return this record tonight. But I think anybody in their right mind getting an opportunity with Drake, anybody would hit that studio and do their thing. So Durk got his record with Drake. He said that was one of the most major parts of his career. Going up, also he had the album with Lil Baby. I wanted to point out that's another part of his career that I feel like made his momentum go up drastically. Durk said in retrospect, or in reference to the internet. In response to the internet, Durk said, I don't let the internet control me. And, we've seen in the past what Lil Durk has done. We've seen Lil Durk actually delete his social media. Sometimes, you need to get rid of your social media for a few weeks, for a month, for a day, whatever you need to do to clear your mind. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be on Facebook. You don't need to be on Twitter, sharing all of your personal thoughts with the world. Sometimes it's better to share those personal thoughts with a family member, a significant other, a close friend. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to be typing out every thought that you have on Facebook. You know what I mean? Even though that's what this generation, you know what I mean? These kids born in the 2000s and the late 90s, it's their generation, man. You know what I'm saying? It's even got me feeling a little bit crazy, everything that we type on Twitter and Facebook, because I know there was a point in time when we were all growing up that wasn't the normal thing to do in life. Boom says that song changed Dirk's career. Yo, 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 major salute, man. Appreciate you for tapping in. Appreciate you for tapping in. But listen, don't be telling people to like videos. When people like the videos, it gets them to actually leave the video unless you're on a computer. And we don't want to get the numbers down, you guys. So that's why I refrain from telling people to like the video. When you come into the video, hit the like button. You know what I mean? Hit the like button, but we don't need to be driving people out of the videos. You know what I'm saying? Just to get the likes up. I'm not all that concerned with the likes. I'm more concerned with people jumping on these live videos and hearing the message and being a part of the discussion. It's all good. It's all good. Chronic Gore. Appreciate you, man. Cheers, my brother. Re-Up Gang says Pooh Shiesty is riding with 1017. But bro, Pooh Shiesty is locked up right now. You know what I mean? Pooh Shiesty is locked up. He's actually facing several years in jail. You know what I mean? He's facing like 8 years in jail right now. And then he has a whole other case that he's facing. So I really don't think this is on Pooh Shiesty's radar, to be honest with you. So so Bob, who's one of the best guys on the Full Send podcast, cool guy. He gets trolled about his girlfriend a lot, though. It's crazy. So Bob asked Durk, like, what do they troll Lil Durk about? What do they troll Lil Durk about? Durk said a lot of shit they come up with in their own head. That really hit me. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the times, I get trolled a lot, and it's shit that people create in their own head. You know what I mean? It really is. But you got to look at that and kind of smile a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because if people are actually thinking about you all day, when people are actually thinking about you all day, you know what I mean? And they've got all these different thoughts about you in their mind, that's actually a pretty, impressive thing to have everybody out in the world thinking about you and commenting on you and shit like that when you could be across that many people's minds. You know what I'm saying? Roll up. Nah, John, I'm focusing on the news today, bro. Sometimes you just got to put down the smoke and focus on the hip hop news, bro. So Durk was asked when was the last time he responded to somebody talking shit. Now they didn't name NBA Youngboy. Little Durk didn't name NBA Youngboy, but Durk went right in. He went right in. He said, "I dropped a song called Aha." That's when I responded to it. You got to think about it right. This shit isn't for this shit is for everybody that really be getting mad at that. If you real, I like. Hold on one second. This. Oh yeah, if you're real, how are you gonna get mad at a fake page? Because Durk went on to speak on the fact that a lot of people will be DMing him, or a lot of people will be posting in his comments. But then when you click on the person's page, they have no followers, they have no picture, they have no likes, they have nothing. They've created a fake page to troll you. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's interesting that Durk's response to trolling is aha. The whole Colors album was a troll. You know what I mean? That Colors album, multiple tracks on there, NBA Youngboy bringing up Little Tim. First of all, I don't think nobody needs to bring up Little Tim on a record. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they need to really be bringing up Little Tim. That's just bringing up or starting or making blood boil. You know what I'm saying? Just to be real on that situation. And I think that's where NBA Youngboy went wrong. And that's why Little Durk doesn't give a shit anymore. I don't think Little Durk was going to diss NBA Youngboy over what happened with King Von because that wasn't NBA Youngboy. That was Quando Rondo's situation. So I honestly don't believe if NBA Youngboy didn't go over the edge with this shit, I do not believe that Little Durk was really ever going to diss him, man. What's popping with you, Finch? Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Appreciate you for tapping in. No, but Sha, my point is, bro. My point is that Little Durk was going to leave that shit alone with NBA Youngboy. Right before King Von passed away, King Von was about to go at NBA Youngboy, but he realized that he shouldn't. Right before King Von passed away, they were about to go at it, but Von actually went back on it in an interview. I got a pack sitting. Oh man, I got a bunch of packs sitting around. I got runts on deck, man. I got a bunch of runts on deck. Some more over there too. But I'm just chilling right now, man. Sometimes, it's not all about smoking, man. Sometimes it's about coming on here and talking about the news. Just to be real with you, man. Bro, Shah, come on, bro. Go do your own stream, bro. Come on now. So Durk was asked about his relationship with King Von. Durk said he was asked pretty much when he got the news about King Von. He said we was in Houston and we was shooting a video. Durk said that King Von was genuine and authentic. He said if I said a number in regard to how many songs, like because Durk was asked how many songs he had with King Von, Durk said that he would be lying if he told him actually how many songs they have. I mean, shit, that's interesting because I think all of us as fans want to hear, material with King Von and Little Durk together. I think we want to hear that them actually put out an official album together. I think we all have high hopes that King Von will be able to put out more albums. He's only on his second album at this point. A lot of the times artists don't get to record a lot of material, before they've passed. So to hear Little Durk say that, I think it gives a lot of us hope that there's a lot more material for us all to hear out there, man. Well, Harley says, I believe it's more than just YB bringing him up. YB never diss if you ain't bothering him. Clearly, he did something and YB got on that tail. Man, excuse me, Harley, that whole situation, it was kind of crazy to me that NBA Youngboy took the opportunities to diss them all on colors. I really thought that Youngboy would have put that shit behind him. But Youngboy was just all too eager to mention Little Tim, and he was all too eager to actually feature Quando Rondo on the track. But I'm not sitting here and saying like, yo, NBA Youngboy should have turned his back on Quando Rondo because I don't believe in that. You know what I mean? I don't think you should turn your back on your day ones. With this situation that happened to him, it's a really touchy situation. But, a lot of people have their opinion on it, whether he was right, whether he was wrong, whether they're sad, whether they feel justified. Everybody has their own opinions on this situation. And I think it would have been weak if NBA Youngboy came out and just disassociated himself with Quando Rondo. But also, I think he should have took some time with it because I think he's rubbing the fan base the wrong way as well. If you look what happened to Quando Rondo, he kind of lost a lot of his fan base. You know what I mean? He kind of lost a lot of his fan base after what happened to King Von. Yo, Don Pablo, what are you talking about, bro? That's just like Little Durk said a couple minutes ago. Durk said people just be making up shit. in their head about the way that you feel. I'm on here talking for 45 minutes. You should hear the way that I feel. You know what I mean? I haven't said one thing about Lil Durk's affiliation with the Coke Boys. You know what I mean? I haven't even really mentioned the fact that he's the CEO of OTF Records. You know what I mean? That's not what we're talking about in this video today. I bet it's some gas. I think it's more, honestly, Harley, I think it's more the fact that NBA Youngboy wants to capitalize off of what everyone's talking about. I kind of feel like NBA Youngboy thought he was going to take his Colors project to the next level. You know what I mean? I think he thought he was going to take it to the next level by actually dissing these guys on the album. I think that was a mistake because the Colors album did not move as much as Sincerely Contrell. But then you got a lot of people saying it's not an album, Mikey T. You got on, bro. I know the difference. I know what an album is and what a project is. I sat through Young Buck attempting to put the Rehab out as an album. That was a project. You know what I mean? I've been around the block, you guys. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times labels will even pull back to be like, oh shit, if Colors would have moved 150,000 first week, then it would have been an album. But since it only moved 79,000 first week, we'll let you call it a project. I'm just being real, man. But NBA Youngboy 79,000 first week, NBA Youngboy Sincerely Contrell 137,000 copies first week. These numbers shit on Lil Durk's numbers. You know what I mean? He outsold Lil Durk, but right now Lil Durk is on rise. Lil Durk on his rise from Drake collaboration. Lil Durk is on his rise from the Little Baby album, and just genuine, fans actually being interested in him. No, the runts. Chronic, that's a good point, man. Because NBA Youngboy actually mentioned the fact that he was facing 7 years. NBA Youngboy mentioned the fact that he was facing 7 years. So with Youngboy's case, I know there was a big break in the case where they got some evidence dismissed, but I'm really just still waiting to hear what's going to happen with Youngboy's case, man. And obviously, I'm hoping for the best. You know what I mean? I think it was absolutely ridiculous that they pulled up on Youngboy's video shoot and, arrested him. And then they went and bamboozled him in California where he got into a whole chase with the cops and shit like that. Like, man, this guy doesn't need to be treated like a criminal like that all the way. You know what I mean? These guys are treating him like he was out there really doing something crazy when he was just trying to make a good music video shoot for these guys. He was trying to take his people's video shoot to the next level by bringing money out to the set and shit like that. I'm not going to talk about some of the other shit from the music video set, but come on, the guy's he's getting thrown under the bus for every little thing that he does. It's like Kodak Black going to his old home. You know what I'm saying? All the old buildings that he used to frequent and trying to give them all air conditioners. It's like you can't even win. You know what I mean? Even when you're trying to do right, you can't even win in these situations. Youngboy goes out, brings a bunch of cash so all these artists can look good and make something of themselves and get themselves out of a shitty situation that we're all stuck in. You know what I mean? And he gets thrown under the bus for it, man. It's just ridiculous in my opinion. Let me see what I got here. Yep. So now we're going to get on to the other part of the news. We got to talk about Wack 100. Wack 100 ending a 15-year-long beef. 15 years long beef. So Wack spoke on 50. 50 potentially getting involved in the Eminem beef. You know what I mean? The Eminem battle versus whatever it turns out to be. Wack said 50 is going to sit his old ass down. He don't want no problems with the game. And if 50 jump on M's song, they automatically lost. Automatically. So you're telling me if 50 Cent makes a song, or if Eminem makes a song with 50 Cent and they sell 2 million copies dissing the game, say they make a Patiently Waiting type record, they actually sell some units. They lost? How did they lose if they done took a record that was aimed at your artist and made a couple $1,000,000 off of it. Hell, in this situation, I could really even see 50 and M alley-ooping it. You know what I mean? Alley-oop it to an album. Let's get the Eminem and 50 Cent album that we never got. Ooh, Don Pablo, 420, says 50 Cent and Eminem versus Game and Machine Gun Kelly. Nah, bro. Nah, man. No. Not Game and Machine Gun Kelly. It's got to be Game and Ricky Rose. It's got to be Game and Rick Ross, man. Don't throw Machine Gun Kelly in there, man, because MGK actually has the issues with Eminem. So you got to throw somebody into the equation, Don, that actually has issues with both men. Rick Ross tried to bait Eminem into the battle as well. Boom, I got to read this comment about Lil Durk. Sorry to backtrack. Durk becoming a mogul. He's hanging with Diddy and Ross. Durk's got to move strategic. Now look how he answered that question. Yeah, that was another thing. Durk actually spoke on the fact that he was sipping and he missed several meetings with Diddy, and that made him want to grow up. You know what I mean? Other people would just want to live in that facade. You know what I mean? Live in the facade of they're the hottest thing on the planet. You know what I mean? But Lil Durk looked at it realistically. You know what I mean? I'm going to lose my opportunity if I keep missing all of these calls. Yeah. Justin, will Mike Knox get involved if it's songs exchanged Mike E.T.? I mean, the game and Eminem, personally, I don't see 50 Cent getting involved. I see it more like 50 is going to go to Eminem and be like, see, I told you years ago we should have taken this problem out before he became too big of an issue. So I don't see Mike Knox getting involved. I do not see Mike Knox getting involved. He does have 50's back very clearly, but I don't see Mike Knox getting involved in this thing, man. All right, so where are we at with this right here? So Wack was like, what if 50 jumps into Eminem's situation? It's like, what, you couldn't handle a fade? What's happening? Why are we beefing? Someone asked Wack, he said, if you ain't been keeping up, then what's been going on? So M appeared on Game's first album. We all know that, but we're not really talking about the Eminem and Game album or the Eminem and Game battle right now. Somebody on that Clubhouse asked Wack 100 if Game should be on Power. You know, someone asked if Game should be on Power, and Wack actually said that Game would never appear on Power. Game said that Wack said that Game would never appear on Power. And here's where it's interesting, y'all, because Wack said this. He said, I put that bridge together 4 years ago. So you're right in the chat. It was 2018. They talked 18 times on camera. Or did he mean to say they talked in 2018 on camera? But they have had various videos talking on camera together. We've seen videos of Game sending over 50 Cent, some bottles. We've seen all that shit, you guys. We've seen it all. You know what I mean? Is it really moving anything? Is it really doing anything for the Game to be sending the bottles, wasting his money? I don't think so. It doesn't really seem like 50 Cent is reciprocating it. You know what I'm saying? Now, with Wack saying that Game wouldn't be on Power, it's like, why? Why wouldn't the Game be on Power? Why wouldn't the Game be on Power when you clearly just said that you ended the beef with the Game and 50 Cent 4 years ago? So that's kind of like making me as a spectator question what Wack 100 is saying here. It's like, did you really end the beef? We got people saying that their beef ended in 2015. We got people saying their beef ended in 2018. Shit. In 2005, they had a press conference. Did their beef end then? You know what I mean? But to the world, Jimmy Iovine and all them wanted it to make it look like the beef had ended. On the internet, people can say and do anything they want to make us believe whatever they want us to believe. I was never under the impression that 50 Cent's beef with the Game ended. Just because the Game sent 50 Cent a bunch of his champagne, you didn't need to send him that champagne. The man owns it. You don't need to send him 10 bottles of the La Quimadora champagne. The man came there with the champagne. It's like ridiculous. It's like the Game sees 50 Cent in the club, so he orders him 5 bottles of effing vodka back in the day. It's like, dude, you don't need to order 50 effing vodka. Number one, he doesn't even drink like that. Number two, the man's got any amount of effing vodka that he would ever want. Like, I'm just being 100% real on this situation, you guys. So Wack said that Game would not appear on Power or BMF. He didn't mention BMF, but I have to assume any show that 50's doing, the Game will not appear on it. But that's odd to me, or as I say, that's a little bit foreign to me because of the fact that Wack said he ended the beef 4 years ago. Wack said that these two men have been cordial on camera. So why not take that next step rather than come back 4 years later and say, oh, we wrote That's What's Up. We wrote What Up Gangsta. That's what they come back and they tell us, trying to stir the pot. You know what I mean? They're trying to stir it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Stir up a little bit of controversy for the Drillmatic album. Why not just call it Get Rich or Die Trying Part 2? Oh no, then they would face some like Young Thug for trying to make the bar 6. You know what I mean? Because Young Thug to make the Barter 6, to follow the Carter 5, he got a cease and desist. So I don't think the Game could actually name his album Get Rich or Die Trying 2. Shit, Rick Ross caught a whole lot of hell when he actually recorded over in the club. So, you know what I'm saying? Let me see right here. So Wack said, I put the bridge together 4 years ago. They talked 18 times on camera, unless I heard that wrong. And he said they talked in 2018 on camera. Wack said they talked, they shook hands in the strip club. Why are you guys shaking hands in the strip club, man? Why are you walking around in the strip club shaking everybody's hand? I know when I'm in the strip club, man, I'm slapping ass. You know what I mean? I'm slapping ass and grabbing areola. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why the Game's so pressed on. Yo, man, let me shake your hand, baby. Let me shake that hand, 50. Let me feel that. You know what I don't know why Game is so pressed on going up to 50 Cent when he's in a nightclub. You know what I mean? I remember this one time at Onyx with this chick that looked like Amber Rose. It's like, yo, man, I'm chilling right now. You don't need to become shaking my hand. I'm chilling with Amber Rose or her lookalike. But you got the Game come, yo, Fifth, what up, Fifth? You know what I'm saying? Can I get you a bottle? Some shit like that. Yeah, man. Sorry, I was just having a little bit of fun with it. Who is Wack to say they lost? He is a cheerleader. Yeah, I just had to debunk that boom. It's like Eminem automatically loses if him and 50 Cent come out with a record that hits the Billboard charts, that goes platinum, that produces the effort to complete an album. How do they lose from that? An Eminem and 50 Cent album would blow Drillmatic out of the water. Am I the only blogger saying this? Am I the only blogger keeping it real out here? Please, in the comments, put a list of every blogger that's keeping it real, because that's what I'm doing, man. What up, Jay? What's popping with you, man? Appreciate you for tapping in, bro. That McDonald's Netflix box looks awesome, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Don Pablo, man. Harley, what's up? Appreciate you. I'm glad you're enjoying the live podcast today. I had hit Gilly up and told him I do a live podcast, but I don't know if he meant, I don't know if Gilly thought I meant like I do a live podcast in front of a live audience or something like that. But I told Gilly I do a live podcast pretty much. He should know what I do. Gilly's actually come on the show a few different times. Let me see. Re-Up Gang says, I've been listening to all of Fifth's older mixtapes. The best one, in my opinion, is actually the Bulletproof soundtrack to his video game. LOL, no cap. Mikey T keeping it 100. Appreciate you, Re-Up, for just being in the building. I need everybody to share this video. Let's get 100 people back up in this video, man. Let everybody know Mikey T does lives in the middle of the afternoon. Hip-hop doesn't sleep. I don't sleep. Tyson says, we need to hear Drillmatic first. Wack is just a hype man manager. I'm not going to call Wack a janky promoter, bro. I'm not going to call Wack a janky promoter. He doesn't fit that description of a janky promoter. Wack 100 is actually obviously a great manager. You know what I mean? Maybe Wack 100 will come and manage Mikey T and we'll take our shit to the next level. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say that Wack 100 is a janky promoter because he doesn't fit that description. Wack 100 has got Game the most attention he has had in the last 5 years. You know what I mean? We've never been talking about the Game in the last few years like we are talking about him right now. And this is because of Wack 100, man. You know what I'm saying? With the Easy record with Kanye West, that's one thing. But also the Game getting his name out in all these blogs is another thing. You know, the Game is kept pretty tight-lipped about situations. We never heard him come out of his mouth and said that he created That's What's Up or What's Up Gangsta. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people are thrown back by that, and they're like, that's BS, Game, because we know you had 300 bars to say that, and you never did. Yeah, Tyson, that's another thing. When artists are in legal trouble, they step away from the spotlight as well. You know what I mean? Look at Chief Keef. He's pretty much been plagued with legal issues since his album Finally Rich came out. I mean, it sucks. It sucks that it keeps him out of the public eye. You know what I mean? But we've put up with this multiple different occasions, from just being on house arrest, not able to actually attend the shows that we would all watch. You know, they wouldn't always get to go on the BETs, the Rap Cities, you know what I mean? They wouldn't get to go on all these shows and do all these things and go out and perform when we would actually see them at nighttime because they had a curfew. So Wack said that he put the bridge together 4 years ago. They talked, they shook hands in the strip club. I put it all together. They laughed. They joked. All that on camera. We done been trailer side, all that. Everything has been cool. Everything has been cool. Wow, this is news to me. This is news to me. And, you know, I mean, I've only been following hip-hop since 1998. You know what I'm saying? But this is news to me, bro. The Game and Wack 100 ended beef with 50 Cent. What did Wack tell Fifth? Yo, it was really Jimmy Henchman. We're cool. But now Wack is on Drink Champs, or now Wack is on Clubhouse, or now Wack is on his own channel talking shit on Fifth. Or maybe he's just saying he's keeping it real because he said who made a song. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, good right here. Tyson said, I really hope Drillmatic turns out to be a dope album. Yo, it's looking like it will be a dope album, man. You know, I've never went against the Game when it comes to his lyrical ability or, you know, the passion that is behind his music. But I was just saying a simple fact, Tyson. I was just saying a simple fact, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now. Which album would you rather hear? Would you rather buy? Which album would you rather buy? The Game, Drillmatic, or 50 Cent and Eminem? I'm putting it in the chat right now. Which album would you rather buy? What up, Kaisha Johnson? Hopefully I said your name right. Definitely appreciate you tapping in on the channel today. Don Pablo says Wack 100 is a pretty good manager. Hey, I like that. I like that. We're in a little bit of agreement. You can't really say that he's a shitty manager. You can't really say he doesn't know how to stir up and get attention. You know what I mean? I would love to have a manager that could get all type of attention on my videos, but I do it all for myself. I'm my own manager. You know what I mean? If I had somebody like Wack 100, somebody like Academics, you know what I mean? Somebody like Gilly and Wallow in my corner, you know what I'm saying, to take my podcast to the next level, we'd probably be millionaires by next year. But you know what? I'm here. I'm getting it in the mud. I feel like I'm the Max B of hip hop right now, hip hop blogging. I'm wavy, all that shit. You know what I mean? I go out and get them nice little platters. You dig? Eating good, smoking right, reporting the news every single night. It is what it is. Tyson keeping it real when it comes to the poll. Vote in the poll, you guys. Tyson's keeping it real. Tyson says, right now, I don't want to hear 50 rap in 2022. His heart won't be in it. He has too much going on, in my opinion. Yeah, man. Yeah. That's when I said passion. That's why I said passion for the game. You can hear the passion in the game's voice. You know what I mean? Uh, After Power of the Dollar, I really didn't hear that same passion. I guess you could say after Get Rich. After Get Rich, I really didn't hear that same passion in 50. You know what I mean? You hear a lot of the stuff of 50 rapping about, what everybody else was singing about on their because 50 was mixing up all the major commercial records and he was making them sound a little bit better. After my cheddar, whatever it was, 50 was making it sound better. But I'm more into the Power of the Dollar style rap that 50 was doing. Chronic Gore says, I like that name, by the way, man. That's a cool name. I just noticed that. I go with Drillmatic because that's really going to happen. Yeah, that's a big fact right there. Drillmatic is on its way to coming out. Now, if what I said happens, if 50 jumps on the record and they hit Billboard, someone's coming to give them a check for that album. If Eminem doesn't keep it himself, they're going to get the check for that album, you guys. Don Pablo, pretty good question right here. And remember, after we get done with the topics, I will always ask the people on with me open questions, last questions. You always get that at the end of the podcast. But Don says, Mikey, would you go with a Yo Gotti mindset, which is pretty much like, building your name up to the point where you get the clout to start a record label? You know what I mean? Yo Gotti, for the very, beginning of his career, he didn't have CMG. Yo Gotti was running around to make his name mean something to the point where he could actually have a label, and then when he got the label, he really proved what he could do, putting out Black Youngsta, you know what I mean? Putting out one of the most interesting people in the game, you know what I mean? Putting out Moneybagg Yo, who arguably, or not even arguably, who has better music than Black Youngsta, so putting on somebody who actually could do great music. And then you got the other guys, you got freaking the dude Block Boy JB, who just got Drake's attention. You know what I'm saying? And then you got a pretty full label right there. And he grinded to make his name mean something to the point where all these majors would actually mess with him. Young Dolph, a little bit different. Young Dolph got it out the mud on his own. You know what I mean? Young Dolph got it off of his independent sales. Dolph actually reached the point where a major label would have come in and endorsed him and spent all the money on him, but he decided to keep it independent. Dolph's run, you can't take that away from him. I was listening to a Key Glock interview earlier today, and you could just hear it in Key Glock's voice how Young Dolph was the one who just kept the wheels spinning. You know what I mean? And if you're going to be on an independent scene, this is one of the major differences with Gotti and Dolph. If you're going to be on an independent level, you need to be making those wheels spin every single day. Whereas when you're with a label, when you're with a machine, they're going to make sure that shit pumps for you. That's why Yo Gotti, we saw him really early on messing with Black Youngsta and messing with Moneybagg Yo. But at this point, he does not need to go do the 50 Cent thing and jump on their records like 50 did with Banks and Yayo. He doesn't need to do it. They both move in and function as artists on their own. Moneybagg Yo, obviously, a little bit more so than Black Youngsta, man. Moneybagg Yo is really the I guess Moneybagg Yo is the biggest artist on CMG, but then also you got You got EST, right? EST, right, you guys? You got 42 Doug now, which is, I guess, is a joint collaboration between Yo Gotti and Little Baby. So I'm gonna have to go with Yo Gotti, man. Because I would really rather have that major label backing rather than going the independent route with an empire, you guys. Boom says, Boom says this Drillmatic album either is going to bring Game back or he has fallen all the way off. Yeah, Boom, we're going to have to wait and see. I'm really wondering when the release will be. You know what I mean? I'm wondering if it's going to be just before the summertime or if it's going to be in the summertime or after the summertime. Like, I really am not getting a clear indication of when this album is dropping just yet. Well, Chronic, let me point it out. He said, if you independent, you actually get to keep your money. But you also have to spend your money. If you want a Lamborghini in your music video, you're going to have to go rent it. You know what I mean? You're not going to have a group of investors who are like, yo, he needs to have the chain. He needs to have the Lamborghini. He needs to have 6 girls. He needs to have the penthouse with the jacuzzi in it, with all the girls dancing around him. And we got to make sure his co-artist, you know what I mean? It'd be like Mikey T and SV Twiz. We got to make sure SV Twiz has all the same things that Mikey T has. Or like in Dolph's case with Key Glock. We need to have Key Glock looking presentable alongside Young Dolph. So then it's double the money, y'all. Then it's double the money. And that comes out of your pocket, Chronic, going to rent the Lamborghini, going to rent the Airbnb, paying for the models, making sure everybody's fed at the shoot, paying for the video director, which sometimes can be a grip. AR Rab spent $25,000 on his video. You know what I mean? It's not just all as easy as sitting down and collecting the money. You know what I mean? Major salute to C-Mac. Yeah, C-Mac is cool as hell, man. But everybody vote in the poll right now, man. I want to know. Because I have a question. If 50 and M team up on this, they could potentially do that album, which I guess they were going to call it Black and White, which I don't really, or was that a Michael Jackson album, you guys? But I guess they were going to call it Black and White. In all honesty, I think the Re-Up should have been their duet album. The Re-Up would have been a great title. Bobby Digital says independent would be more money than on a label. The labels takes the money first. Well, I mean, shit, Bobby Digital, if you're selling 100,000 on a label, if you're lucky, an independent label by yourself, if you're selling 100,000. Now imagine if you're moving 10 million. Imagine if you're moving 10 million with a label. Look at the difference between 50 on Columbia and look at the difference with 50 with Eminem and Dre on Interscope. He moved 10 million on Interscope. On Columbia, I think they sold 5,000 copies. I think they sold 5,000 copies of Power by the Dollar just because they pulled it back and shit like that. Yeah, Keisha, I actually did that on the last one. I said, what song is better, Wish Me Luck by 50 or Easy by the Game? That was actually one of the polls that I did. Y'all gonna wish me luck. That was a dope song, man. So for anybody to say 50 doesn't really got it on the music tip right now, you know what I'm saying? 50 pulled that one, and he has a lot of other intro tracks that people just love. But that's because we're all conditioned to enjoy 50's voice. You know what I mean? 50 just has a voice that he has conditioned us all to enjoy. Let me see right here. Wack said he can't be in power, but they have this relationship. So he said they can't be in power, but they have a relationship, which was odd to me. It's like, why not just take the next step in it? Wack said that he put the bridge together 4 years ago, so it's accurate that the 2018 portion of time is what he's talking about. And Wack said that they talked, they shook hands in the strip club. I put all that together. They laughed, they joked. All that is on camera. We've been trailer, side to side, all that. Everything has just been cool. Everything has just been cool. So when the whole situation of Jimmy Iovine was brought up, Wack just went off on 50. Wack went off on 50 because he was like, yo, man, 50 knows the problem that Game has with Jimmy Iovine. He had this conversation who he wanted to talk to. So that's in regard to, Jimmy Iovine slipping past the game and Larry Jackson actually stopping for a conversation. Wack said Game and Jimmy Iovine have the understanding for the last 13 to 14 years, and they got the understanding that you don't say nothing to me and I don't say nothing to you. Neither one of them attempted to acknowledge each other, but when the Game actually did an interview with Fat Joe, he actually disagreed with this notion to it. Not disagreed with it, but he said something different. He didn't mention what the Game and Jimmy Iovine, he didn't mention the fact that they had an understanding of not to talk to one another. The Game said he simply did not see Jimmy Iovine. He said he simply did not see Jimmy Iovine. Wack 100 had this whole background story. You know what I mean? He had this whole background story of, oh, they haven't been talking to each other for 13, 14 years, da, 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 da. But the Game said he did not see Jimmy Iovine. So there's a little bit of a little bit of a chink in that armor right there. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit of an issue. What do they call it in the movie business? They call it a plot hole. There is a plot hole, you guys. It looks like Game and Wack need to get together and reevaluate their story. Wack said this. He said, that's why I couldn't understand 50. You already knew when the Game and Jimmy Iovine fell out because it was over you. Wack 100 put it out there that the Game and Jimmy Iovine fell out over 50 Cent, you guys. Now, that's not something I actually knew. That's something that has been speculated for many years. A lot of people have speculated 50 Cent must have said something to Dre and Jimmy. 50 must have said something to Dre and Jimmy. But another speculation we've all had is that Dre and 50 came together to put Game in G-Unit. Game did an interview with Fat Joe the other day, and the Game said it was Jimmy Iovine that came to him, that went to 50 and said, 50, we're putting the Game in G-Unit. There's no if, there's no and, there's no but. The Game is hot as hell in LA. The Game is with Dre. We need to do so. I don't know what the full conversation was. G-Unit was the hottest shit out, man. G-Unit as a clique. G-Unit as a clique was the hottest shit out. We got something with G-Unit we didn't necessarily get with Murder Inc. We didn't necessarily get with Bad Boy. We didn't necessarily get with Rockefeller. You kind of got it with Rockefeller with State Property. You know what I mean? But with G-Unit, we actually got a group, a core group within the label. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So basically, that's what I'm talking about, y'all. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I really appreciate everybody tapping in with me today. Game and Wack say two different things. Wack shouldn't talk for Game. Well, I mean, they just need to get their shit in more order. You know what I'm saying? They actually need to get their stories a little bit more together if they want to, go on different blogs and talk about different shit, because there's a little bit of a plot hole. You know what I mean? When Wack 100 is saying that the Game and Jimmy Iovine have an understanding, as all of us would think, you know what I mean? We would all think that since the Game and Interscope broke up back in 2005, 2006, we would all think that, obviously, okay, they've had this understanding for the past 12, 13, 14 years. But that's not what the Game said when he had a chance to talk to Fat Joe. The Game said he didn't see Jimmy Iovine. He didn't say nothing about this long understanding that they had. He didn't want to dig into any of the facts of Jimmy Iovine telling him to keep my label's name out of your mouth. We didn't get none of that. You know what I'm saying? But Justin says that the Game became a household name when he got with the unit. Yeah, that's something that the game was saying. He was like, y'all know that I was the hottest rapper in LA. He was pretty much saying he was the hottest rapper in California. And sure, maybe, you know what I mean? Meek Mill was buzzing in Philly as well. But when Meek went and got linked up with Rick Ross, the whole world started knowing who he was. I mean, shit, Lloyd Banks was the hottest dude rapping in his building. But when he linked up with 50 Cent, you know what I mean? He went to a whole nother level. Just look at the past history of shit. The game can say all that he wants about being the hottest rapper in LA. I should have put that up as a poll. Was the game hotter in LA or was Meek Mill hotter in Philly? Because I would have to say I probably heard about Meek Mill. You know what I mean? But in all honesty, that's probably because Philly's a little bit closer to Connecticut as well. Don Pablo says Lloyd Banks is my favorite from G Unit. Bobby Digital says Wack talks too much as a man in that business. He don't need to speak on everything. Harley agrees with you. Tyson also points out the fact that the game said, but Diddy sent game to Dre, and Dre brought game to Jimmy Iovine, and Jimmy told 50, I got a new guy for you that's going to be on G Unit. 50 didn't like that. That was the start of the downfall. And that's another thing that was a little bit odd to me, you guys. It was a little bit strange to me that it had to be Diddy to tell the game, I'm going to put you on with Dr. Dre. You know what I mean? That's a little bit odd if you look at all the history, going back with Dre and Puff. You know what I'm saying? But even we've seen Snoop Dogg in the past, acknowledging East Coast rappers, saying that Biggie was one of his favorite and shit like that. Major salute, my guy Peasy. Bobby Digital says Meek was hotter in Philly. No need to do a poll. Yeah, that's just one of the things I question. You know what I mean? Maybe the game was hotter than Lloyd Banks was in Queens. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll give him that, but I'm not going to give the game being hotter than Meek Mill in Philly. Meek Mill had T.I. lending him cars just so he would look good. You know what I mean? The game was standing in studios with Suge Knight not getting acknowledged. You know what I mean? Crooked Eye and Eastwood were ahead of the game when it came to that California scene. Like those were guys that Suge was building an album around. I mean, shit, if Suge Knight had the game right there, why wouldn't he sign him on the spot? I've speculated that Suge probably didn't have the money to sign him, but shit, game's running around with Diddy. Diddy certainly would have had money to sign the game. Let me see. Mars, true, but you seen Game work after he left G Unit, so he has ideas for music. Ye might be able to tap in on some of Game's music. Yeah, you're right, man. That's something that the game said as well when Fat Joe had asked him, like, do you regret leaving G Unit? Do you think it was a bad move? The game was like, my Cuban link doesn't think it was a bad idea. Look at what happened to a lot of the G Unit members, you guys. A lot of them, they're kind of irrelevant at this point, if not all of them. You know what I mean? They may all be irrelevant right now when it comes to music, but the game certainly is not irrelevant. And he's really made, sure that was the case. He's been able to work with Lil Wayne over the years. He's been able to keep relationships with several different producers. And now he's got a manager who's going to bat for him like he's a new age artist. You know what I mean? Easy has like 10 million views on the internet. Go look at Bobby Shmurda's numbers. It's like 20 million. So it's somewhat considerable. Keith B says Game was hotter than Meek. When? During the documentary? Are you comparing the documentary to Dreams and Nightmares? Because if you're comparing the documentary to Dreams and Nightmares, if you're comparing I'm a Boss to How We Do, then yes, the Game was hotter than Meek. But I'm talking about the Game when he was doing albums with JT, the Bigger Figure. And I'm talking about Meek when he had the record Rose Red out. That had him going crazy in Philly. And, in some of the other states as well. Pablo says, did 50 beef with every member except Banks? Him and Banks had quite a few disagreements, man. That's probably because 50 was disappointed, that Banks wasn't bigger after Banks's initial, run in the industry. It looked like Banks was going to be the next big thing popping, selling over 400,000 units. In 50's word, I guess it was over 500,000. That must have been worldwide. But I really appreciate everybody tuning in, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in on the live today. I want everybody watching this that's not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I want you guys to follow me for a follow while my good friend over there gets my video flagged for playing some dumbass shit on his phone. Everybody shoot me a follow. I will follow you guys back. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if